Hello and welcome to the 23rd broadcast of the Nerdflix podcast. We got a great episode ahead because today's topic is The Goonies. Hey, it's time for Nerdflix! Welcome to the Nerdflix podcast. The Goonies really is, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies of all time. It really is a great film. The Goonies is basically about these four kids who go on an adventure. They find a map and they go on an adventure to find the treasure of One-Eyed Willie. During this, they get chased by some criminals who also want the treasure and who are hiding out in this abandoned restaurant. They go through different caves and tunnels and eventually find the treasure, and they make it out of some of the treasure, and it's enough to save one of the characters' houses so they don't have to move. This movie was shot almost entirely in sequence in a town called Astoria, Oregon. Now, this is a real place that you can go and visit and see places like the beach. The beach being the beach from the Goonies. That's where they shot the beach in the Goonies. So you can go and visit Goonies Beach and Astoria, Oregon, where they shot the Goonies. So it was shot almost entirely in sequence in this town, except for the scenes with tunnels and caves that was shot in a soundstage in Burbank, California. This movie does have some references and tie-ins to Gremlins. In fact, some people might say they even take place in the same universe, because at one point Chunk is trying to call the police, and the local police officer reminds him of all the pranks that Chunk has pulled on him, including one about little furry creatures that multiply when you get them wet. And obviously this is a reference to the Mogwais from Gremlins, so it does have some tie-ins. Also, not to mention the fact that the person who does play Mouth, Corey Feldman, is also in Gremlins, playing a character named Pete, and we don't really know Mouth's real name because Mouth is obviously a nickname, so they could be the same person. At one point in the movie, Mikey needs to tell the other Goonies the story of One-Eyed Willie. Now, how they shot this scene was that basically they told the actor Sean Astin, they told him the story before they shot the scene, and he just did his best to repeat it so that it would sound very butchered and like it, obviously was being told by a kid his age. So basically they just told him the story and he had to memorize what he could and then retell it on screen. In this movie, Josh Brolin plays Mikey's brother Brand, and this is actually his first movie debut, but he would go on to be in many other movies, including, now I looked this up because I didn't know this, apparently he is Thanos from the Avengers movies. So, Brand from the Goonies is also Thanos. At one point in the movie, all of the Goonies are sliding down these tunnels that are almost like water slides that will eventually bring them out into One-Eyed Willie's ship. Well, these tunnels were actually real working water slides that they had built on set. And it's rumored that after shooting was done, they would go and they'd ride the water slides just for fun. Anyone who's paying close attention to the movie and has a good ear will notice that towards the end, when they're being interviewed by reporters, Data, he references to an octopus being very scary. This is because it was referring to a deleted scene in which there was an octopus in the water with them when they escaped One-Eyed Willie's ship. And they just never cut out the reference to the scene, so he's referring to an octopus in a deleted scene. And now it is time for another segment of product review. We'll start off by talking about what I owned for this topic. Well, I own the DVD, of course. I actually have it on a DVD 3-pack that comes with the Goonies, the Gremlins, and Gremlins 2, a new batch. But as you can see in the picture, I do own a Funko Pop for this movie. That is Chunk right there doing the truffle shuffle, and I absolutely love this pop. It's probably my favorite pop in my collection. Back in January, they announced a bunch of new Goonies Funkos. There's some older ones, but they released new ones. We'll get into that in a little bit. And one of them being the Chunk Funko you see there. And I liked it so much, I pre-ordered it back in January, even though it wasn't going to be released till May. Then even when it reached May, the release date was pushed back to June or July. And then I finally got it about 2 weeks ago. So now I finally have this super awesome Funko that I've been waiting for a long time. But now let's talk about what is out there and available for the Goonies. We'll start by doing a general Goonies merchandise search on Amazon. So we'll go to that. And it's just your basic stuff. I mean, they're always going to have t-shirts. There's always going to be all kinds of t-shirts. Plenty of Goonies t-shirts. You got posters. You can get like a metal sign, which I suppose is a poster as well, but t-shirts, you can get autographed picture from the cast, hoodies, a drink koozie that has Chunk riding the dragon from Neverending Story, which I find hilarious, Christmas ornaments, a replica of the map, the key, socks, a hat, a sloth figure for the game Lego Dimensions, phone case, all that kind of stuff. But now we'll go to the Funko app to see what Funkos are available and their general value. So, like I mentioned, Funko just released five or six new Goonies Pops, but they had some older ones, but those ones are worth a lot more. So the old Sloth is worth $220. The old Mouth is worth $70. The old Data is worth $80, and the old Chunk is worth $65, and the old Mikey is worth $170. And now we fast forward to January when they released a bunch of new Goonies, so the newer Sloth is only worth $14. You can get a Sloth Soda for around $13. You can get Mikey Data for around $10, and my Chunk is now worth around $13. Now, for whatever reason, in this new line of Funkos, they never released one for Mouth, which I don't really get because they did for the first line of Goonies, but I don't know. And that would have been cool so I could complete the Goonies set. And then they have some action figures: Mouth, Sloth, Data, Mikey, Chunk. You know, the basic characters. And then you can get the Chase for the soda of Sloth, which is him in a hat. There's a Sloth Walmart exclusive Sloth with ice cream from the ice cream freezer scene. You can get Brand, but that's part of the newer line, but it's a Target exclusive. Sloth with Superman shirt from the old line, so that would be a Chase, is worth $740. So that is quite the amount of value there on that. Plus, you can get Sloth the Superman shirts for an action figure, which is worth around $46. So, if you're looking for Goonies Funkos, I definitely recommend getting the newer ones because they are a lot cheaper and they do look a lot nicer. All the bats that you see in the caves when they're throughout the caves are not real bats or any kind of special effects. They're actually bow ties and paper mache being launched from an air cannon. The person who played Sloth in this movie is actually a football star who played for the Raiders prior and actually won 2 Super Bowls. But to put the Sloth makeup on, it actually took 5 whole hours to dress him up and make him look like Sloth does in the movie. 5 hours. The mayor of Astoria, Oregon, has announced June 7th a National Goonies Day, and they have a Goonie celebration annually. I would love to go and visit that. In the scene when the Goonies are going down the water slide, I talked about this earlier about it being a real water slide, they come out into the water and they see One-Eyed Willie's ship, and they are just super excited, and it looks really cool. Well, all the reactions from these young actors are real reactions. They did not allow these actors to see the ship until filming of that scene, and the ship took 2 months to build, so they built it in secret so that all the actors would have a real excitement and awe effect when they saw it for the first time on camera. Steven Spielberg executive produced this film, but he secretly directed 2 of the scenes from the movie. He directed the scene where they bang on the underground pipes and the wishing well scene. So he secretly directed those 2 scenes. Next up, I have a conversation in person with my friend Nathan. We discuss The Goonies and if The Goonies were to get a sequel. Enjoy. Okay, now we have Nathan back on the show to talk with us about The Goonies. And you are a really big fan of The Goonies, right?
Oh, yeah.
So am I. The Goonies is really a classic movie. So, with The Goonies, so who do you think your favorite Goonie is? Which one?
Forget his name, but the fat kid.
Oh, Chunk, the truffle shuffle kid. See, I think character-wise, I like Mikey, but like for comical relief, I really like Chunk because he does some really funny stuff, including the classic truffle shuffle. But I also like Mouth because Mouth pairs really well with Chunk.
Yeah.
And Data's cool because the stuff he designs and, all his weird little inventions that he does.
Yeah.
But, so the movie is a really great movie. What do you think? Do you think the movie should get a sequel?
I do. I feel like they would make a lot of money, but they're going to have to do it right. Like, if they make a complete remake, I feel like that won't work. No. And maybe a complete sequel might not work. I don't know. Do something like maybe before how the treasure even got there.
Yeah, I was thinking like a prequel, like about One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah.
But like, see, a sequel or a prequel or any kind of a spin-off movie would be good, but it has to be done right.
Yeah.
Because I'd like a sequel, but off the top of my head, I couldn't think of a plot that would be good. I mean, we can have them as adults.
Yeah, but
that wouldn't be.
No.
That's what every movie does. They always just have, them as adults. That's what every movie's doing these days. But a prequel would be interesting with how the treasure got where it ended up.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see some kind of spin-off, but it has to be done right. Maybe a series.
Yeah, they could do that.
Do we know who owns the rights to The Goonies? Is it a Universal? I know it's not Disney. If it were Disney,
it's been a while.
If it were Disney, that'd be cool to have a Disney Plus series. But I know Disney doesn't own The Goonies.
Yeah, because I think Disney did a Mighty Ducks series.
Yeah, they did a Mighty Ducks, and they have plans to make a Sandlot series. So they're doing a lot of spin-off series, but like I said, The Goonies does not belong to Disney, but that would still be cool, because a lot of stuff these days are doing spin-off series.
Yeah.
So, the sequel would be interesting, but thanks for sharing your opinions today,
yeah,
and thanks for being on the show. Today's segment of Forgotten Facts comes to us all the way from Nerdflix number 6, Star Wars The Original Trilogy. In the original shooting script for Star Wars A New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi was actually supposed to survive his lightsaber battle with Darth Vader, not die. One extra little segment I want to throw in at the end of the podcast here. I was recently given 5 packs of Gremlins movie cards. So they are these little packs that you'd get of cards with different scenes from the movie on them, and then also a random stick of bubblegum. And these are from when the movie came out in 1984. There are 5 of them altogether, but for now I'm only opening 1. So as you can see there, it's opened, and those are all the cards that come with it. It's different cards from different points in the movie. It has a picture on one side and a title, and on the other side it describes that scene. You can see there are all the scenes that I got. And then it also comes with a little card that's a checklist of all the scenes that you could get. And so I opened 1. I'm not going to open the others just yet, or maybe not ever. I know I definitely want to keep some unopened, but for now I'm only opening 1. But shout out to Tom Ballesteri for giving those to me. Okay, well that is it for this episode of the Nerdflix podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Be sure to listen next week to next week's podcast. And until then, I will see you next time on Nerdflix. thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Your life! First, you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on! Do it! Come on! Do it! Cut it out, Mo. Cut it out.